Days after proscribing the group, the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra, or IPOB, the Nigerian government says it plans to rehabilitate its members. But the very decision to tag IPOB as a terrorist group continues to anger many of its supporters. The movement wants several states in southeast Nigeria, made up mainly of people from the Igbo ethnic group, to break away from and form the independent nation of Biafra. Well, the umbrella group for the Igbos is Ohaneze Ndigbo. Its president says labeling IPOB a terrorist group is unfair.
I find the treatment extremely unfair and lopsided. In Nigeria, we have Fulani headsmen, otherwise referred to as Fulani militants, and terrorism tracking organizations have ranked them as the third or the fourth deadliest terrorist organization. That kind of organization, which has ravaged farmlands in Nigeria, killed quite a number of people, have not been classified as a terrorist organization.
So why did the Nigerian government label IPOB a terrorist group? I put the question to Nigeria's Information Minister, Lai Mohammed.
The acts and utterances of IPOB were acts and utterances of terrorists. For instance, Nnamdi Kanu was caught on tape saying that they won Biafra, and not peacefully, but by force, and that if they don't get Biafra, Somalia will be a paradise to the kind of mayhem.
But this was a man who was talking without any weapons whatsoever.
Well, this is also the same man who openly solicited for arms, and the same man who set up his own Biafra National Guard, its own Biafra Security Service, and the same man who actually attacked, army formations.
What do you make of the fact that the United States of America doesn't seem to agree with you by saying IPOB is a terrorist organization? They say they're not, we don't categorize them as terrorists.
That's very unfortunate, because if countries decide to pick and choose which organizations are terrorists and which are not, bearing in mind that terrorism has no boundary, I think what we should do is every country should work together to ensure that terrorism does not strive.
But, there's also the argument that there are other groups, there are armed groups, militarized groups in Nigeria that could have been declared terrorist organizations, but this particular group that hasn't so much as raised a single cutlass against the Nigerian state is being declared a terrorist group.
I think acts of criminality should not be confused with terrorism, terrorist acts. I've just told you now that when an organization decides to not just attack the army, but set up its own parallel government, when an organization openly solicits for arms all over the world, when an organization starts issuing out its own passport and its own currency, and does not even recognize your government, then it becomes a different thing.
Do you worry that IPOB could be driven underground and could become a militarized, militant group because you've declared them a terrorist organization?
Nigeria is so fragile that if you allow this kind of thing to go on and there are reprisal attacks in other parts of the country, the whole country will be endangered.